You can listen to The Professional Left wherever you get your podcasts, on Netroots Radio, or at our website, proleftpod.com, where you can also contribute to this podcast. There's a PayPal button at our website, or you can mail us a letter and or contribution at Post Office Box 9133, Springfield, Illinois, 62791.
This is the podcast for November 18th, 2025. It's not safe for work.
Recorded live from the Cornfield Resistance, where even Blue Gal's optometrist is now complaining about Citizens United and hoping for Medicare for all. It's The Professional Left with Driftglass and Blue Gal. Can that be true, Blue Gal? Can that possibly be true?
It is true, because right now, healthcare in Southern Illinois, like around the country, is just a total nightmare. And I had to inform my optometrist that no one at all at Springfield Clinic takes ACA insurance. Springfield Clinic being the main healthcare provider in the city of Springfield.
Which is where we're currently lodged.
With all our doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And they are out of network for the two insurers. There's only two that are participating in the new Illinois exchange. And our insurance is going to be over $2,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to thank Charles Gaba while we're at it. He is an expert in ACA and has been since the Obama years. And I posted to him on Blue Sky and told him what our insurance is going to be. And he came right back to me and said, you need to look at gold plans in Illinois, not silver plans. And I was like, gold plans? That's going to cost us $10,000 a month, right? But no, the way they've worked it out is who knows how who comes up with these prices, right? But the gold level had, instead of a $12,000 deductible, a zero deductible for $200 less a month. So it's only $2,500 and change a month now, Driftglass.
Right. It's only slightly less than 4 times the amount.
Yeah,
right.
Of what we're paying now.
Yeah.
So something's got to give. But so when I went in to see the optometrist
mm-hmm.
in Springfield Clinic on my insurance, etc., I said, I don't think I can see you next year.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing he said was, they're going to work this out. It might not be January, but they're going to work this out because they don't want to lose all those patients. And
right. They can't.
Second thing is, we need Medicare for all. More importantly than that, he said they, and he just said they are trying to collapse the healthcare system.
Yes.
In this country.
And they are. They absolutely
are.
But he also really mad about Citizens United.
He's mad about Citizens United. He's mad about that there isn't Medicare for all. Mm-hmm. He thinks it's extortion. Private insurance is extortion.
Damn, fellow traveler.
Yeah.
We're going to show you the secret handshake.
And then we talked to him about our hazmat suits and what we do for a living and so forth. But
that's the thing. We do run into people who we know slightly or sort of know or not really sure where they stand.
See once a year, whatever, right?
Or we see them at trivia and never really asked, the deep probing questions. And we find out, oh my goodness, you are definitely on our side, even though every characteristic, including your voting record prior to probably 2016, tells me that you're not. But you don't want to talk about it because it's an oppressive kind of thing. Around
especially
here
in this area
where MAGA is loud and proud.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go around saying, fuck those people. That's our job. We're the ones who go around saying,
we're the ones who run around saying, fuck those people.
And they're the ones who come and say, you're right. Thank you for saying that.
That's the thing. But we are old soldiers in this, right?
Right. Exactly.
We've got the really old armor that's been beaten on many, many times. And we really don't give a shit anymore.
No.
About offending anybody a lot of the time. I mean, I try not to. I don't say fuck in church. I don't.
Yet. Not yet.
No. But in adult Sunday school, I did say that if Stephen Miller were tied up at the top of a bridge, I would push him off.
Yeah. In the name of the Lord. Yeah.
And I wanted absolution for that. Everybody just laughed. But I was like, I feel like a very bad Christian right now. Because
Well,
I'm standing there and a rope is around his neck and he's at the top of a bridge. I'm going, oops.
oopsie doopsie. Not saying that we do
Not
that.
threatening anything.
No, just imagining, just having imagination.
Just saying, look,
The
he's
theater
done
of the
so
mind.
much harm to this country.
The theater of the mind is a powerful thing.
Yeah. And I'm a bad person.
Well, we're going to talk about some bad Christianity later in the podcast.
Yeah, we are. So let's get to it.
Yeah.
Because today we're going to talk a little bit about a sensitive subject. We're going to talk about trauma. Now, neither of us is a healthcare professional in the mental health area at all.
No.
Although we both are pretty convinced that Donald Trump has mental problems.
Although youngest child might be a good person to consult.
Yeah.
This is their field.
They're a senior in high school or a senior in college and psychology major. So they've got a lot of knowledge. But look, we both live, Driftglass and I, in the same world that you do. A broken country run by a madman who is deploying U.S. military and paramilitary forces to American cities in order to terrorize people. I said to a colleague of mine today who was very upset about what was going on in Charlotte, I said, they want to terrorize anyone who speaks Spanish or has dark skin, and they want to paralyze liberals, people who care.
Yep.
And so don't get paralyzed by this. And so we want to talk about the long-term effects of that.
Yeah. And just talking about what we're going to talk about today, we came up with, we need to take a bit of an indirect route to where we're going to talk about, which it'll all make sense in the end, we promise you, because that route starts with considering the domestic pig.
No, man, I don't eat pork.
Are you Jewish?
No, I ain't Jewish. I just don't dig on swine, that's all.
Why not?
Pigs are filthy animals. I don't eat filthy animals.
Yeah, but bacon tastes good. Pork chops taste good.
Hey, sewer rat may taste like pumpkin pie, but I'd never know because I wouldn't eat the filthy motherfuckers.
But this isn't about whether you personally consider pigs to be filthy animals or delicious, or you're a vegan and are just appalled by the entire conversation. This is about the status of pigs among the Jews during the time Jesus was walking around. And it also doesn't matter whether you stand where you stand on the Bible as a work of fiction or holy text, whether it's the inerrant word of God or just a bunch of nonsense. This is not a sermon, we promise you. But the status of pigs figures prominently in the story we're about to tackle. So please get out your paper and take notes.
You don't have to take notes.
No.
But yeah, we're going to get a little biblical on you, a little Bible bitch on you. Mm-hmm. Now, by the time the Torah was codified, starting sometime in the 9th century BC and finishing during the 5th century BC, both the book of Leviticus and the book of Deuteronomy, which are full of Jewish law,
right,
made it explicitly clear that pigs were categorized as unclean animals. They were never to be eaten or sacrificed or raised for food. In fact, this prohibition shaped Jewish culture so deeply that pig avoidance became a major marker of Jewish identity.
So got that? We're in the DCs. We're in the BCs, rather. So now we're going to jump ahead to about 500 years later, during the 1st century AD, and tell a story about a man possessed by demons. And with a few variations, this story shows up in all three of what are called the Synoptic Gospels. That would be Matthew, Mark, and Luke.
And Driftglass and I don't fight, but we had a big knockdown, drag out about CE Common Era versus AD Anno Domini in the year of our Lord.
And BCE.
Driftglass said, yes. I grew up on Captain Kangaroo. I'm going to say AD.
AD. Pluto's a planet. It's AD, and Captain Kangaroo is a hero of mine. So just move on.
Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the most complete version in Scripture from the oldest Gospel, the book of Mark, chapter 5. Quote, they went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him.
Never get out of the boat. Absolutely goddamn right. Unless you were going all the way.
Sorry, Driftglass couldn't help himself with a little Apocalypse Now in there. Back to the story in the Bible.
Yeah, this is how I crack them up in Sunday school.
Quote, This man with the impure spirit lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been chained hand and foot. But he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. Now, see, we told you we'd get around to the pigs, right? The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs. Allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons, sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. Unquote.
It's a good story. Now, whether you take the story literally, which we very much do not, or you take it metaphorically or as a wisdom story, there's a lot to unpack here. First, the possessed man was almost certainly not Jewish, because none of the areas mentioned in the story, the Gerasenes and the Decapolis, which are a cluster of cities, like 10 cities that are about between 30 and 60 miles away from Jerusalem, those are not Jewish areas. That's where the Gentiles were living, and they were living in Greco-Roman towns and villages. Even if you didn't look up the demographics of that area at that time, which we did because we do our homework here at the Professional Left Podcast, the presence of a herd of 2,000 domestic pigs would be a dead giveaway. This is not at all a Jewish area.
Yeah, they were being raised for food.
They were being raised for food. There's 2,000 of them, and they're the most unclean animals on earth according to Jewish law.
Right.
Now, we're told that the possessed man is immensely strong. Chains and shackles won't bind him. He just snaps them off his legs and arms. That he's in constant, terrible torment. He spends his days and nights wandering among the tombs and the hills. In other words, he wanders among the dead. And he cuts himself with stones. Cuts himself constantly with stones. And today we'd recognize that behavior as someone physically hurting themselves as a way to try to cope with intense emotional pain, sadness, anger, and stress.
And abuse, perhaps.
And abuse. Absolutely abuse. Deep, deep trauma. Not demonic possession, but some kind of intensely damaging psychological trauma is what we're talking about.
And then there's that word legion, which doesn't just mean a multitude or a vast number of things. In Roman times, it meant something very specific. It meant a unit of between 3,000 and 6,000 men in the ancient Roman army.
Mm-hmm.
So now we ask ourselves, was there something especially traumatic involving Roman legions that might have happened in this region during the life of Jesus that might cause this man to use that specific word?
Mm-hmm.
Something that would have left permanent psychological scars on the people who witnessed it and the people they told about it as stories about it were passed around in the region. And the answer is yes.
It's a very, very definite, very huge historical event happened. This is not the 70 AD Roman destruction of Jerusalem and the temple, but this happened just after the death of Herod the Great in 4 BC. So that's almost exactly the time Jesus is supposed to have been born. The Roman-controlled region of Judea was thrown into incredible turmoil by various messianic claims, sound familiar, and general unrest. The king is dead, and everything's up in arms. And the local Roman auxiliary garrisons were not sufficient to handle the scale of all these uprisings and rebellions that were popping up all over the place. So the Roman governor of neighboring Syria deployed a large force of 3 or 4 legions to quell the rebellion. Now, these are the troops on the frontier between them and the empire next door. They're hardcore. These are not traffic cops. This is somewhere between 9,000 and 24,000 battle-hardened, frontline Roman troops being sent to crush the rebellion as quickly and brutally as possible.
Multiple ancient historians, especially Josephus, describe the period as chaotic, violent, and marked by harsh Roman military intervention. Cities were burned, villages destroyed, the temple was occupied, at least 3,000 Jews were killed and 2,000 crucified. It's not hard to imagine someone becoming so traumatized by seeing all of this or hearing about it from adults who had lived through it that they would go mad, or having it happen to themselves in some way, or their family member.
Yeah, your entire family's wiped out.
Yeah.
Or you watched neighbors that you cared about. Remember, this man lives really near Jerusalem, where people he would have known probably would have been slaughtered right in front of him, or he would have heard, yeah, the Romans are just down the street and they're killing everybody.
Yep. And so he would wander among the dead in a cemetery, go in the tombs and talk to dead people, wail all night long, cut himself with stones, and identify the demons that possessed him as legion. The rest of the story taken as allegory also makes sense. Jesus casts the trauma left by the atrocities of Roman legions into a herd of what the most unclean animals are under Jewish law. A herd that numbered 2,000, which is getting close to the number of troops in a Roman legion. The pigs are not then sacrificed, which you can't sacrifice pig under Jewish law. But they run themselves off a cliff and into the sea where they drown.
Yep.
Now, a biblical scholar could have a huge argument with us on this and say, and that's not what it means at all, and that's fine.
Right.
But I think there's something there with the word legion being a military word.
Absolutely.
And it certainly relates to what our country is going through today.
Yeah, because whether or not, this is why we don't invite Bible experts on the show, because we don't want anyone to disagree with us.
We hate that.
We want our word on the subject to be gospel, if you pardon the pun. But whatever happened in this time and place, it was Roman troops, hardcore, battle-hardened, rape, pillage, burn, and murder troops rolled into these civilian areas and destroyed and murdered and took people. There is a very well-researched theory that a lot of the children that were born 9 months later, 10 months later, were the result of Roman troops raping women in the countryside.
That was a planned out thing to weaken the bloodlines. Yes.
This was a common occurrence. This is not unusual. It is deeply traumatic and horrifying to people who live through it. But it's not at all shocking to discover that the Romans dealt with this situation in ways that would terrify, because the whole point was to terrorize the people so badly they would never, ever think of doing it again. So this is a story of the long-term damage done when a military force is deployed to terrorize civilian populations. And the civilians are left feeling traumatized because they were helpless and powerless to stop it. They were humiliated because they couldn't stop it. These people outgunned them, and there was no chance they could put up any resistance, we bring this up because of Los Angeles and Portland and Chicago and Baltimore, Oakland, St. Louis, Albuquerque, Denver, New Orleans, New York, Philadelphia, Seattle, and today, Charlotte is in the news. terrifying things going on in Charlotte. Wherever the Mad Emperor wants to send his legions of goons to kick in doors and bust out windows and shoot clergy in the head with pepper balls and haul in entire apartment buildings full of brown people because they were brown, zip tying crying naked children and dragging them off in the middle of the night. That's what's happening to our country right now. We are under military occupation by goons who we are not allowed to fight back against because that would escalate the matter and get people killed. So we are helpless and angry and traumatized. And every day, every single goddamn day in the courts, in the streets, and in the media, on television, Republicans are traumatizing this country in ways that will have dire consequences for decades and decades to come.
Right. By depriving SNAP, by depriving health insurance, by depriving peace.
If you think anyone who lives near a building or lives next to a family whose children were ripped away from their mother and they were dragged off by masked thugs because Donald Trump ordered it, is ever going to forget that or ever forgive that for happening, you're wrong. You don't understand human nature.
Yeah.
That is sticking with those people and with all of us who witnessed it for the rest of our lives. Just like the Iraq War is stuck with us and will stick with us for the rest of our lives.
Did you see the YouTube of the woman who had a fender bender in a parking lot? And the woman that no damage to her car at all. And she just got out of the car and said, it's fine. I'm not damaged. It's fine. This woman got out of her car, other woman, crying, sobbing, saying, no police, no police.
Right.
Because her children, 2 under the age of 3, are in car seats in the back seat of her car, and she doesn't want to be dragged away. And she said, and the lady said, of course, no police, it'll be fine. And the woman came over and hugged her.
Yeah.
And was like, thank you, I can't. And she said, it's okay. Are you undocumented? She said, no, I have a green card. No difference. I have a green card. I'm following the law. No difference.
Well, I believe in Charlotte yesterday, they arrested someone for honking their horn. To
threatened
warn
them
people.
with a military weapon and broke their car window and dragged them out of their car.
Another, I'm not sure how many people were involved, were stopped, dragged out of their car. Their citizenship was established. They were allowed to get back in their car. Then another group of thugs came along and busted their windows out and dragged them out. They're out of control. And it's on purpose. This is not an accident.
To create propaganda video to make everyone afraid and paralyzed.
Right. It is to terrorize the civilian population with military weapons, masked men, which is no different than rolling Roman legions in.
Yeah. It's to whiten the United States of America.
Yeah. And scare everyone.
And scare anyone speaking Spanish into leaving the country.
And everyone knows that the minute you do what anyone would do in a situation if it weren't masked thugs operating under the color of law, you'd pull out a gun and defend your family.
Right.
You pull out a gun and defend your building. You tell these masked thugs to fuck off.
Yeah.
Anyone does that, suddenly the whole city is going to be under military lockdown.
That's what Stephen Miller's shopping around for. He's looking for a reason to call out the Insurrection Act because someone shot a federal officer.
Right. They're shopping for a race war.
Yeah.
And we're not going to give it to them. But city after city in this country, and in smaller towns too, people are experiencing things that are deeply traumatic.
And they moved out of Chicago because it's getting too cold for propaganda videos.
Yeah. Well, they posed in front of the Bean, and then they got out.
Yeah.
And also because Chicago made them look stupid.
Yes, it did.
And made them look bad.
Portland did. Right.
And our governor, J.B. Pritzker, made them look like fools.
Well, and started a commission to examine who they are and what they did by name.
Right. Got to get out now. So there is that.
And I just want to take a moment too and just say, while all of this is going on, you can see the blood in Darfur from space.
Yeah.
And Trump has no idea. No. Just not concerned.
Well, and how many hundreds of thousands of people are dying and are going to die because Elon Musk and Donald Trump decided to burn USAID to the ground.
Right.
On purpose, traumatizing, killing people on purpose for the express purpose, not to put down a rebellion. That was the Roman predicate, which was stupid, but just to terrorize them for the sake of terrorizing.
Right.
Frightening people for the sake of frightening them, because we shouldn't have to deal with those sorts of people, and they shouldn't be a burden on us. So fuck them, let them die. Christians all. Christians all.
And today saying, well, Khashoggi wasn't a 100% good guy.
Yeah.
And stuff happens while sitting next to, a potentate who's giving him money, who's bribing him.
Bring back Peggy Noonan to explain how
some things we just don't need to talk about.
A great nation things should be mysterious. A great nation shouldn't, sort of dwell on this.
Dwell on torturing people or murdering people or dissolving their bodies with acid. That's not pleasant.
That's not pleasant. That
I need to go have another Mai Tai at the Georgetown Country Club.
Yeah, that's a conversation stopper right there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
All right. So now we're going to change gears rather dramatically, but it is to the point that in the face of all of this, in the face of this much evil, that humongous lie, the both sides do it lie, is still as potent and virulent as ever.
Yeah.
In the face of all that evil coming from one side.
Mm-hmm.
As we hope our listeners, our longtime and short-time listeners know by now, the both sides do it lie has been the legacy media's default setting for so long and is now, for millions of Americans, so automatic that it has become what psychiatrist and author Robert J. Lifton called a thought-terminating cliche, or what Orwell termed crime stop, the faculty of stopping short as though by instinct at the threshold of any dangerous thought crime. When any conversation veers anywhere toward holding Republicans solely responsible for the evil that they solely did, these crime stop conditioned citizens have been trained to immediately chuck a both sides do it, both sides are equally bad smoke grenade into the mix and then run away to safety.
Yeah. And even when the stakes are actual life and death, and even when the irrefutable proof of who is right and who is wrong is literally available at every person's fingertips. For far too many Americans, the thought of allocating blame where it belongs is so goddamn terrifying that these stubbornly sleepy citizens would rather dream reassuringly about politicians in Washington or both sides of the aisle than wake up to find the Republican Party is a mob of violent bigots and imbeciles fueled by lurid, homegrown, multi-billion-dollar fascist propaganda masquerading as news, and ruled over by monsters and demagogues.
Which brings us to this excerpt from a November 14th, 2025 Vox article entitled, Meet the Newly Uninsured. Millions of Americans will soon go without health insurance. We spoke with some of them. It's the story of Stephen, a retiree, who had insurance through his wife's job. What's happening to Stephen and his wife is appalling, and is happening with minor variations to millions of American families, including ours. Quote, up until last year, his family of 3 was covered by his wife's insurance. It cost them $500 a month with a low deductible. But then the company shut down her division, and she decided to retire. And the couple and their son enrolled in the same plan on the state's ACA marketplace. They couldn't get such a great deal, but they found something usable, about $1,000 per month. Pricey, but they were able to keep all of their doctors who were in network. Their deductible was about $4,600. And this is exactly our situation before Driftglass went on Medicare. We were paying $1,000 a month for health insurance for 3 of us.
Yep.
With a $6,000 a person deductible.
Yep.
But all of our doctors were in network.
Yeah. And
under that plan.
It was extremely painful to have, that cost so much more than our mortgage.
Yeah.
But we could keep our head above water with the able assistance. With subsidies and with the able assistance of our listeners and readers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Getting back to the article. But next year, starting in January 2026, their current plan would cost $2,700 every month to keep. And their deductible would be higher, up to $5,300. They could consider dropping their college-age son off the plan, but he would struggle to afford health insurance on his own. And it would only save his parents $300 a month. Again, our 21-year-old senior in college. Her insurance, compared to me at 62, costs nothing.
Right.
And these two folks retired early. You can tell they're not on Medicare yet, but barely.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the situation with us. Stephen says he feels trapped. Given their age, he and his wife don't feel they can afford to go without insurance. But they're now going to have to pull money out of their retirement accounts to cover the cost of their health plan. We cannot wing it and not have health insurance, Stephen said. I'm spending a lot of money that I really do not have on health care. He's done the math. If he kept his same plan, paid all of the premiums, and paid the maximum out-of-pocket costs, he could spend $50,000 in 1 year on health care out-of-pocket, even with a health insurance plan, unquote.
Yeah. And multiply that by millions.
Yeah.
Millions. So far, so horrible, right? This is pretty grotesque. But when we hit the last sentence of this excerpt, I ask you to remember that Stephen is saying this, what he's about to say, in the fall of 2025, living in the rubble of a full decade of felonies and conspiracy mongering and corruption, lying, bigotry, treason, insurrection, fascism, and assorted other catastrophes that a Trump-led Republican Party has left in its wake. Again, this quote from Stephen is the last sentence in the Vox article. Quote, "It kind of seems like the two political parties want to be right and not care about people," he told me, unquote. Just sit with that for a minute. Now, of course, we want quality, affordable health care for everyone, including Stephen, just like our optometrist does.
Yeah, right.
But if after all that has happened to him, Stephen is still yapping about the two political parties want to be right and not care about people, then frankly, Stephen can fuck right off.
Not that we want to take away his health insurance or his subsidies.
But he's a hopeless, brainwashed moron. And he should be ashamed of himself for saying shit like that after 10 years of Trumpism and 30 years of Republicanism before that.
And 20 years of 15 years of Republicans voting time after time to take away his subsidies.
Right.
60 times they voted to do this.
Which he didn't need until he needed them.
Right.
I'm sure he didn't give a shit until he needed them. And then suddenly they became the most important thing in his life.
Right. Right.
And then it became personal. Oh, that's maybe the thing about liberals. We abstract from our own personal needs that other people might need the same things we do and might should be afforded the same rights we have and the same privileges we have and the same education we're able to get without breaking the bank or rounding them up because they're the wrong skin color. I'd love to know how Stephen voted. I really would.
And don't get me started about the Politico article I read this morning about how House Republicans are now racing to come up with solutions for health care because the Senate Republicans have had a head start.
Right.
With coming up with ideas like selling junk insurance policies across state lines and ending tort reform.
Tort reform, that'll solve it. Yeah.
Having more tort reform, whatever.
Yeah.
They have nothing, and they're now bitching about how much money is going to private insurance companies.
It's very sad how much money those insurance companies are making off the American people, Blue Cow.
Yeah.
Very sad indeed.
Well, if Trump's imaginary $2,000 check per American that is never going to happen would pay for 24 days of health insurance under the prices that we are scheduled to pay next year. 24 days will cost $2,000. So fuck him and his imaginary check that's never going to happen.
Yeah, we will one day soon revisit the many healthcare debate podcasts that we did.
Yeah.
Including the one where Barack Obama went to Baltimore to the Republican retreat to confront the Republican Party en masse on the subject of healthcare and just beat them stupid without any notes. He just knew the subject so well that he could say, look, Paul Ryan, look, I know you love tort reform.
Mike Pence, who was moderating the whole thing. Yeah.
I know you love tort reform. That's great. Maybe we can do tort reform. I don't really care. That's fine. But you know that will not bend the curve. It will not increase coverage. It will not increase. Yes. It will not do the three basic things that I've asked for any insurance plan to do. Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, don't give a shit. And they just sat there
Yeah.
because he just took out his large credibility and slapped them in the face with it for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then he left. And they
Well,
didn't
and he
change
spoke from his values, right?
Exactly.
His values were he had specific goals for Americans
Right.
to have better health insurance
Right.
and
Better health
more
insurance.
affordable and accessible health insurance.
And better outcomes.
Right. And
That
they
was
wound
it.
up adopting, goddammit, a Republican plan.
Yeah.
Romney Care is what it is and what it was and what it
Stripped
shall
of-
be until we come up with Medicare for all.
The Romney Care stripped of the one element that would have made it possible to control costs.
Yeah.
And that is a public option.
Public option and mandates.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Supreme Court took away mandates. Mandates, people thought of that as everybody being forced to have health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
What it does is enlarge the pool so there's lots and lots of healthy people going to the trouble of signing up for free or low cost health insurance.
You spread the risk around in a
Right.
much bigger pool with much more healthy people.
Right.
And the cost is lowered for everyone.
Exactly. And that's why the costs are exploding right now.
Yeah.
Is they assume everyone's going to drop it, except the sickest people
Who need it.
who
the
need
most.
it, who can't. We can't afford to. We can't afford $2,500 a month, and we can't afford to go without for a month or 2 months or a year. And I don't want to get into all my personal health. I'm doing okay,
Yeah. Same here.
but we need doctors and we need health insurance.
We have entered that time of life.
Yes.
Where
and that's the
conversations-
thing. I mean, I'm not going to get all of the people that you're hearing that in these profiles are over 55.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so I know youngest child gets real mad at me when I talk about lowering the Medicare age to 55. Not like I'm being selfish, but that removes the sick, high use
Right.
population from the
Right.
pool
Right.
and lowers costs.
Right.
So
It should be-
it's one option of many.
It should be for all. It should be
It
Medicare
should be for all.
It absolutely should be.
And no one is greasing the slide to Medicare for all faster than the Republicans in that Politico article this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So
Who are, yeah. And, this is,
who have nothing.
I know we're sidetracking a little bit, but there is a whole montage. And I know that it will change no Republican minds because they don't
Yeah.
have any minds anymore. All they have are little switches in their brains that Trump flicks off and on. But there's a whole montage of all of the times Donald Trump over the last 12 years promised to have health care in 2 weeks and maybe in a month, maybe in 6 months. We're working on
It's
it.
going to
We
be
have an
so
idea.
easy.
We have a plan. We have a concept. It'll be so easy, so cheap, you won't even believe it. And over and over and over. And again, 10 years later, here's this idiot Stevens saying, the two political parties seem like they don't really care about people. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, seriously. What
do you
party
just-
got you those ACA subsidies in the first place?
did you lose all your money to a Nigerian prince who promised you via email? Are you that guy? Because you seem like
because
that
you
guy.
certainly are duped.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
want to protect you, Stephen, from your own stupidity.
From your dumb brain.
Yeah, we really do. We want you to live a long and happy life and
All right.
live to be
But
90.
let's move on,
Let's move on, shall we? Let's move on to a happier subject.
because you are all probably more familiar with our second example, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, that's right. Good old Madge.
Because she has learned the magic words, Driftglass.
Yeah, took a while, but
What are the magic words, you ask? Are they, as your mother taught you, please and thank you? Sorry, kids, those days are dead and gone. And fun fact, the new magic words are at least 30 years old. Here's an excerpt from Marjorie Taylor Greene's Friday night tweet. Listen carefully for the magic words. Quote, I never thought that fighting to release the Epstein files, defending women who were victims of rape, and fighting to expose the web of rich, powerful elites would have caused this, but here we are, and it truly speaks for itself. There needs to be a new way forward. The toxic political industrial complex thrives on ripping us all apart, but never delivers anything good for the American people, whom I love. The political industrial complex tells us to hate each other, fundraises off why we have to hate each other, and pits Americans against each other to the point of violence and nearing civil war. This is also wrong. We can have our own differences and differing opinions, but we can still love and respect one another. We have far more in common than we have apart. I believe in the American people more than I believe in any leader or political party. And the American people deserve so much better than how they have been treated by both sides of the aisle.
Pew, 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 pew.
Unquote.
Welcome to the Beltway, Marjorie.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Beltway. And as of yesterday, by my count, that had 7.1 million views. And in the comments, there were hundreds of MAGA howler monkeys shrieking various versions of, "Nobody cares about the Epstein files. How dare you question the dear leader? And burn in hell, bad lady."
Is this on Twitter or Truth Social?
Oh, it was on Twitter.
Ah.
Big on Twitter. Yeah. Because she had, and this tweet goes on for, longer than however many characters you get, because she's verified.
Special. Yes.
Check mark. But it's a whole thing. She is learning fast how to adapt herself to television, to TV. And none of the howler monkey's criticism matter at all, because Madge is a creature of low cunning and ruthless survival instincts. That's what she is. And she's learned how to speak pigeon beltway. She's framing her slow motion exit from the Trump pandemonium bandwagon as an act of high principle, and showing up on places like The View to claim that she was victim and elevate herself into the ranks of the media's serious women with powerful voices. Quote, "You've broken from the Republican Party on a number of issues, including, besides the shutdown, the war in Gaza, tariffs, Trump's desire to expand AI, foreign aid," Sonny Hostin said. "But you've also had the clips highlighting the very public spats that you've had with your colleagues, where your behavior, some say, is just unbecoming for a congresswoman. And you're promoting conspiracy theories like QAnon in the past. But you seem to have grown past that." Why?
She's grown.
She's grown as a person. A mother and a patriot, Blue Gal.
She's a mother and a patriot.
She's practically Liz Cheney at this point.
Yeah.
Why the change? Why the evolution?
Oh, God.
And there's something about saying that on the 100th anniversary year of the Scopes monkey trial that just seems so appropriate. So why the evolution? Maybe you should become a Democrat, Marjorie, Joy Behar added. And Driftglass added, "Now I'm throwing up in my mouth." Joy Behar added, complimenting Greene's comprehensible explanations for her positions, many of which earned her applause from the show's anti-MAGA studio audience, who had nothing better to do with their time than sit through this bullshit. "You're so right. It's like you're on the left now," Hostin told Greene. "I'm not on the left," she told The View's hosts. "I haven't changed," though she admitted of QAnon, "I was a victim, just like you were, of social media lies and stuff you read on social media." Greene cemented the friendly interview when she concluded, "I believe that people with powerful voices, like myself and like you, and especially women to women, we need to pave a new path." Unquote.
Women to women. She's going to be at Drag Queen Story Hour.
I don't see that in the near future.
No. Somehow, I think she's going to draw the line at Drag Queen Story Hour.
But I believe it would not surprise me to see her at Mika Brzezinski's women's leaning
absolutely. Know your power bullshit.
Know your power. And we're so happy to welcome you here and say nice things about you and so on and so forth. And she's got it all down. Someone taught her to say these things, and she's learned really well, which is, first of all, I was the victim, as we all were. Everyone's to blame for this. We all were victims. And there's this political industrial complex in the middle of us all that's
dividing us.
It's not one side or the other. It really is both sides of the aisle.
It's this outside force dividing Americans from Americans.
Yeah, it's very sad.
And chasing David Hogg down the sidewalk and putting up "there are two genders" across the hallway from a congresswoman who has a transgender child. And, generally being a cunt. I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
A right-wing C word for years. And making her bank on it.
Until
becoming the biggest fundraiser in the Republican Party.
Until
her children needed subsidies for their health insurance.
And until she had to choose between her fealty to Donald Trump and the Epstein files that put her in office.
That also
Put
built her
Yep.
bread oven. Yeah.
Yep.
And if you trust nothing else about Madge, and by the way, Wolf Blitzer called her a wonderful mother, and you definitely shouldn't trust anything else about Madge, but you can trust that she can practically smell that sheer cliff's edge off of which that bandwagon is about to plunge. And she wants to be clear of it when it all goes boom. She's the first and possibly best lifeboat builder of the post-Trump era.
Yeah. And
her boyfriend is the one, the Brian, whatever his name is, on OAN, who found her a stylist that got her hair fixed and found her better clothes.
Yeah.
And then said, oh, time to steer away from MAGA. Trump's losing it.
Yeah.
The way you do it is you stay true to the Epstein files, freak out on the right.
That's right. And claim everything else, you were a victim of it, not a propagator of it.
All of the crazier shit that you did.
Was it just victim? You were the victim.
You were the victim.
You were the victim.
Spouting about Jewish face lasers on Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah. And
the internet taught you things that weren't true.
That's right. And she's succeeding at it.
Yeah.
This is
well, that's it. They're all welcoming her on to mainstream shows on CNN and The View, and
this is the way.
She'll go on with, a better bleached hair, even though she's insulted black congresswomen for their eyelashes.
Oh no, she's done I mean, we could do nothing but a month of podcast.
We could do 5 podcasts on what a awful bitch but, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been in the past. Yes.
But we have lived, all of us have lived through the post-Iraq war accountability period where no one's held accountable for anything because it was just easier to forget it all. Let's move back to being normies and let's not hold anybody responsible for anything because that's just a bummer. That's a turd in my Mai Tai.
And I'm sure we'll talk more about this on Thursday, but that's why all of a sudden Congress and Trump are rushing through votes on the Epstein files.
Oh, yeah. Quick.
Rush them, then have Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, then it's a new year.
By that time, it's old news.
Well, by that time, his pet DOJ are focused entirely on finding Democrats. And then anytime his name comes up, he can say, fake news. I signed off on it. Fake news. It's all fake news. And
why would I sign?
Yeah.
Why would I sign off on it if I knew that was in there? That must have been fake. That's AI.
He's already said Democrat hoax. It's all a Democrat hoax. Yeah. So we know where this is headed. Anyway,
one last thing. Finally, oh my Lord. Somehow David Brooks still has a job.
Yeah.
And as the world spins further and further off its axis, he is getting more and more ludicrously grandiose, just like he did after the Iraq War and Katrina.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he gets all up in there.
Last week, David Brooks, who discovered Christianity 5 minutes ago, and very evidently doesn't understand it at all, he claimed that he has discovered the cure for Christian nationalism.
Yeah. And if you think we're kidding, here's the headline in the New York Times, quote, "How to Replace Christian Nationalism," unquote, which, if nothing else, we're sure will catch the attention of that tiki torch, Jews will not replace us, Nazis in Dockers mob. Now, as many of you know, Brooks is a creature of many bad habits, one of which is that when the going gets really weird and he cannot bludgeon ugly reality into an uplifting fairy tale for his readers of redemption and renaissance and sunny future, Brooks frequently retreats to the one safe place where he can pontificate in galactically sweeping language, and no one will dare to disagree with him. And that place is the pulpit, talking about Jesus, or talking about the soul, and talking about spirituality. In the pulpit, Mr. Brooks is free to sermonize to his heart's content on the state of the human soul, to his heart's content on the Schulzberg family dime, which is really nice work if you can get it. And this time, Mr. Brooks affects an understanding of the chaotic parade of American humanity that is so deep and so wise that he can not only diagnose how to undo Christian nationalism, but explain exactly how and why the MAGA morons came to power here in the land of the free, more or less.
Now I get to read the quotes from David Brooks
Yes, you do.
to give everyone some verisimilitude and distance. I'm the omniscient narrator reading David Brooks from on high. Here we go.
And I need to sort of lower my heart rate. So
Yeah, and he's going to take deep breaths while I read David Brooks.
yes.
But you'll respond to this quote. This is the sentence.
Oh yes.
Quote, somehow MAGA has swept in and made us a frightened nation, stagnant, callous, and backward. Unquote.
Somehow? Somehow? Jesus, Mary, and Irvin Schrödinger, it would take a bigger brain than mine to calculate exactly how much of the inconvenient past Mr. David Brooks just casually obliterated with that one word. How many decades of conservative propaganda to which Mr. Brooks eagerly contributed? And how many decades of legacy media complicity to which Mr. Brooks still eagerly contributes did he just negate? How many elections did Mr. Brooks just annul? How much of America's history of racism did Brooks just wish away with one little word? Brooks's thesis is that MAGA and Christian nationalism are somehow, quote, alien cultural implants, unquote.
Now, wait a minute. Is that his words?
Those are his words.
He called what MAGA did to this country alien cultural implants.
Yeah, very much like the Mar-a-Lago plastic surgery parties they have down there. Those things are not native to this country. They're somehow alien. Christian nationalism is just implanted from an alien culture. It's not real, and real Americans.
He really does think that the entirety of America is on the Acela train.
He does. He really does. And it doesn't matter how many times he gets kicked in the teeth and has to go begging his boss that, because he did this before.
Yeah.
You know, he swore Trump would never come. There's no such thing as Trump, and MAGA is not a thing, and it won't happen. Then he gets elected. And David Brooks had to go and beg his boss for his jobs in public, saying, "You went on the Charlie Rose show." And Charlie Rose said, "How did you miss this?" Well, I guess I spend too much time on the Acela corridor. And then Charlie Rose says something like, "Well, we a lot of us missed it." Yeah. And Brooks replied something like, "Yeah, some people will say they saw it coming, but those people, ha, 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 ha." But he will occasionally hop on his motorcycle and go out into the world and talk to 5 people and then come back and say, "I've figured this shit all out. I've talked to a working man. I talked to a person who was afraid of Italian sandwiches. I drank a $70 pops of whiskey in a hotel airport, and now I know America's mad about inflation." He is he's a fucking clown. He's a fucking clown the Schulzberger family has had on its payroll for 22 years for reasons that passeth all understanding. Now, his thesis, as I said, is somehow this is an alien cultural implant, his words, which real Americans will shrug off if we just follow David Brooks's advice. But first, Blue Gal, we have to understand who we really are. And to do that, first, David Brooks must run the entire sprawling, messy canvas of American religious, spiritual, and political life through, and I'm not kidding, David Brooks's big, dumb, both sides do it meat grinder.
All right. On one level, I say, of course. On the other level, I say, this is what Stephen is reading.
Yes. Oh, exactly. And thinks he's smart for reading it.
And thinks he's smart.
Yeah. Because to fit inside David Brooks's fairy tale, all of us, in our millions, must be reduced to 2 and only 2 sides, each of which are equally flawed and misguided. Now, would you care to read some more quotes from David Brooks?
Sure. This is just to prove that you're not kidding, Driftbaz. Quote, once you put people into categorical boxes, you are inviting them to see history as a zero-sum conflict between this group and that one. And sure enough, today we live in a political, cultural, and religious war between 2 impoverished armies.
2. Only 2.
I think David Brooks is inviting us to see history as a zero-sum conflict, Driftglass. But
I think he is too.
Anyway, on the one side are the Christian nationalists who practice a debauched form of their faith. Christian nationalism is particular rather than universal. It is about protecting us against them, the native versus the immigrant. It is about power more than love. It is about threat more than hope. It is rigid and pharisaical rather than personal and merciful.
I do have a question about that.
What's your question?
Where was this curiosity about the Christian right when Ronald Reagan was inviting Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson into the White House?
Yeah.
All those decades when the moral majority and their follow-on groups were running the party that David Brooks gave his entire adult life to. Where was this incisive insight back in the days when it might have made a difference?
Well, he didn't know what Rush Limbaugh was saying. He
Not
just
Rush
didn't
Limbaugh.
know.
Not Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh was running his party, and he just lied about it and lied about it and lied about it and lied about it and lied about it.
But Jerry Falwell also, he didn't know what Jerry Falwell was saying. Just shrugged it.
Yeah.
I don't know what Jerry Falwell was
But he was
doing.
pals with Reagan, and Reagan is a saint, according to David Brooks.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Anyway, yeah.
But, he conveniently ignores people he doesn't want to think about.
He conveniently ignores the entire history of the Republican Party.
Republican Party, which he doesn't want to know about.
Right.
Now, this is the rest of David Brooks, because we got the one side of Christian nationalists, which, as a definition, it's okay.
Yeah.
On the other side are the exhausted remains of secular humanism.
Oh, no.
That humanism started out trying to liberate people from dogma, but it has produced societies in which people feel alienated, naked, and alone. It has failed to formulate a shared moral order that might help people find meaning and solidarity in their lives. It is so enfeebled that it is being replaced by the religion of the phone, by shallow technological modes of living, unquote. He blames the phone.
If you tweak just a little bit of the language, this could be a Catholic talking about the Counter-Reformation to get rid of those goddamn Protestants.
Yeah.
Sure, it started off as a good idea. The 90th. Yeah, indulgences might have gone a bit too far, but Protestantism has gone way too far. It's destroyed culture. We need to get back to something in the middle, somewhere in between.
It's a good thing I'm not Pope.
Yeah.
For lots of reasons.
Yeah.
But if I was the Pope, I'd go to David Brooks's house and take one of those scrub daddies and get it real hot and wet and smack him in the face with it.
Yeah. It is just, I know this is redundant. We did a 6-part series like 10 years ago.
And that was because I forced him to do it in 6 parts, folks.
Right. It was going to be
he wanted to do 12 parts.
It was going to be like Shogun. Okay. It was going to be, but we didn't have the budget for the whole thing.
His wife didn't have the emotional budget for it.
But this is what passes for the intellectual cream of the crop of the non-Trump conservative side of whatever the hell's going on. Yeah. This is what still is being propped up as the thinking man's version, the thinking woman's version of politics. And every goddamn column going back 22 years, you will find in 90% of them the same formula. It's two sides. Both of them are wrong. I'm in the middle. I'm right. Listen to me. And David Brooks is always wrong about this. Is always wrong. And in this case, as near as I can tell, Brooks is actually contending that somehow bad polling questions have shunted us all into one of these 2 and only 2 impoverished armies.
I can't find the razor in the apple because it's all razors.
It's all razors. Yes. I'm looking for a sliver of apple among the raisins, and I can't find that anyway. This, by the way, is followed by a hilariously awkward pivot from Brooks's ludicrously reductive assessment of the entire population of the United States to an unverifiable, anecdotal, Tom Friedman cab driver laundry list of what Brooks believes other people really truly believe way down deep where only he can see it. And it's all based on this sentence right here. Quote, "In my experience, most believers ... unquote." This really is museum quality David Brooks. It's everything that's wrong with David Brooks. His entire career has been a series of sweeping observations and predictions about politics and faith and culture and the future of conservatism and the Republican Party, virtually all of which have turned out to be laughably wrong. Like firing offense wrong if this were any kind of meritocratic system where you had to not be a fuck up in print on the op-ed page of America's major newspaper to keep your job, and which Brooks validates with his own personal experience and insider information, which have also turned out to be hilariously and unerringly wrong. But however wrong Brooks is every day of his life, the toxic both sides do it lie that is his stock in trade is still alive and well, and enabling fools like Stephen to pretend that both parties are the same on the subject of healthcare, and enabling rabid grifters like Marjorie Taylor Greene to ease her way into the mainstream, first by claiming she was a victim of social media QAnon madness and not a carrier, and then blaming both sides of the aisle for the damage Republicans continue to inflict on this country every single day.
Yep. And that's a wonderful ending, but I'm gonna ruin it by just riffing for a moment about MAGA post-Trump.
Oh yeah, that's
because we're all looking for that lifeboat and who's going to get on the lifeboats and who isn't.
Yeah, we're not looking to get on lifeboats ourselves. We're looking for who's building them and who's launching them and who's going to be invited onto them.
Right.
Exactly.
And Hal Sparks said something just as offhanded on Saturday, and we're all thinking of Hal. By the way, his father is in hospice, so we're really sorry about that and thinking about him. But Hal Sparks said on his Saturday show, they're all going to refine religion.
Yeah.
All going to be, and Marjorie Taylor Greene's invoking the name. I don't have any ruler except Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the American people, all of them. Love everybody because Jesus taught me to do that. And so MAGA, all of these Republican voters who voted for Trump 3 times are going to full blow return to hiding behind Jesus, who washes their political "I was duped" moment away in the blood of the Lamb. I'm not perfect. I'm just forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
I'm singing gospel songs and loving Jesus, not asking for forgiveness from liberals.
No. Or responding to liberals who say, what about the fact that I was right and you were wrong?
Yeah.
Well, we're all broken and fallen creatures.
All broken, and none of us are perfect. And both sides are equally bad.
Claiming you were right is kind of prideful to me.
Prideful.
It's a prideful thing. And pride is a sin. I don't know if you know that, Driftglass. Pride is a sin. And saying, being all about I was right and you were wrong, very, very egotistical.
Yeah, we all just come together as children of Christ.
And vote for me.
And vote for me because I want to take away abortion again.
Abortion is a sin against God. And I love God too much to let that stand.
That's it. That's it. And there we are. And we're back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the lifeboats are being built, and everyone in the Trump White House can see them being built.
Yep.
And none of them can jump on a lifeboat.
Yet.
Steve Bannon, who 3.5 weeks ago was saying, we have a plan. We have a plan to reelect Trump in 2028. This week said Trump is over.
Yeah.
And we got to start thinking about, we know it's not going to be Ted Cruz because he's not truly MAGA.
There you go.
Yeah. But, is it going to be Rubio or is it going to be JD? And so they're already that. And this is what I've always said about Trump's threats to elections.
Uh-huh.
There are too many people like Steve Bannon whose future careers depend on the horse race.
On the threat of a liberal takeover of the government.
The liberal takeover of the government, but also just the Republican primary for president. We've already got to start talking with an expert on polling about Rubio versus J.D. Vance.
Mm-hmm.
As if who the fuck cares in November of 2025? But that's bread and butter. Political junkies love that.
I agree with you. Can I make an analogy?
Yes, please.
The idea that after Trump falls or becomes comatose or is just irrelevant, pardon me, excuse me, there shall come purity tests. There are always purity tests. But it will be who is pure to the MAGA higher or the higher principles of MAGA and who is not. And there was, you might recall this, it was during the Spanish Inquisition, before and after, when there was the forced conversion of the Jews. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to stay in Europe, if you didn't want your home burned, if you didn't want to be, treated like a monster, if you didn't want your life threatened, you damn well better sound off that you love Jesus and convert. And lots of people did to save themselves. And I would have been one of them. Absolutely. But then less than a generation later, what happened, Blue Gal?
That wasn't good enough.
Those forced conversion Jews are in our midst. Mm-hmm. They can't be trusted. Mm-hmm. We must root them out. Mm-hmm. They're not true Christians. They're the problem. We need a scapegoat, and it's the secret ones that are inside the perimeter. They're the problem. We need to rid ourselves and purify the church. And I guarantee you that the people who put on MAGA masks to win elections and sell shit and just whatever I need to say or do, however I need to show my ass to get these morons to vote for me, and I'm talking to you, Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Are going to once things change, those people are in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, and you and I had a conversation about Nick Fuentes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into all of the details of what Nick Fuentes had to say today, but he is marketing the graduation from MAGA to America First.
That's right.
With a new hat.
New hat? Oh, how stylish.
A new hat. Mm-hmm. An America First hat instead of a MAGA hat. And it's not that we're leaving MAGA, but MAGA was enough for 2016. And today we need to graduate from that. Uh-huh. And so it's rebranding. I'm telling you.
With a new hat.
We've been predicting this since 2017, since Inauguration Day and before, that there would be an effort to rebrand Trumpers to better than that. And that's what's happened. And it's why we all have to keep our eyes really open now.
Well, and now it gets down to a race, between several factors. But one is, are we going to have the Nick Fuentes America First rebranding? Or, and I wrote about Marjorie Taylor Greene this week, are we going to see her form of Pygmalion, where she learns to speak and talk and act like a regular Beltway lady?
Yep.
And, and she gets to go on Morning Joe.
And she'll be on all the Sunday shows.
And the Bulwark invites her on, and she has a good old time laughing it up with Tim Miller.
Yep.
And then says, I was wrong for what I did, but I got to tell you, Tim, I was misled by the goddamn algorithm. Just fed this craziness to me. And I thought it was real. I was bamboozled. I was fooled, like you were. And then she'll slide right into the mainstream. Yeah. So there's a question there. Which form of rebranding will be the dominant?
Will dominate, yeah.
But here's the thing. The bigots and imbeciles that are the base of the Republican Party are with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
They're going to go somewhere.
Yep.
And they will seek out whatever rebranding methodology gives them what they want the most, which is validation, hating liberals, and never, ever admitting they were wrong. That's been the core of conservatism for my entire adult life.
Absolutely.
You can never admit you're wrong. You were fooled, you were bamboozled, you were conned, you were misled, the liberals lied to you, whatever. But you can never admit that you're wrong.
And I get it that Democratic politicians are going along with that. Uh-huh. They are. They're saying, many people of my friends in the Republican Party in my district were bamboozled and misled by social media.
It's terrible. It's just terrible, Luke.
I think it's a stupid way to go. I think you should go full on, fuck these people.
Yep.
We're going to make sure they have health insurance, but fuck these people. But, of course, if you're running for a House seat, you're never going to say that.
No.
About your district, because everyone in your district is wonderful. And that's
what else, Blue Gal? People should feel free to write to both of us if they want to.
They should. It's been a long podcast, and you should feel free to write to both of us at proleftpodcast@gmail.com. We do love hearing from you, and we got a Venmo donation today from a gentleman who sent us his Facebook settlement because he didn't want to the tech bros at Facebook. He didn't want their dirty money, and he wanted to use it for good. So he sent it to the Professional Left podcast.
Well, your money,
Venmo.
My friend, has been cleansed in the blood of the Lamb. So.
But thank you for that. And Venmo at ProLeftPod. If you go on the app and search for that, there's a picture of us there.
Mm-hmm.
You can Venmo us any amount, but you can Venmo us your Facebook settlement money.
Sure.
Be aware that if you write to us at any of our addresses, we reserve the right to read your email or U.S. Postal Service. Go Postal Unions. Letter on the air unless you say otherwise.
And please, if you can, share our show on that same social media that made poor Marjorie Taylor Greene believe Jewish space lasers were real. And if you love this podcast, try to get someone else to listen to. They might enjoy it. And thank you for doing that.
Hey, Drift Class, how are the Internet Kitties doing this week?
Well, Blue Gal, as you know, the Internet Kitties want to welcome formally Penelope, she who is Penelope today, into our extended kitty family. And there's going to be more about her later.
On the Thursday show.
Let's think about living. Think about living. Let's think about loving. Think about loving. Let's think about the hooping and the hopping and the popping and the lovey-dovey. Let's forget about the wine and the crying, the shooting and the dying and the fellow with the switchblade knife. Let's think about living. Let's think about life.
The Professional Left podcast is recorded under a Creative Commons license. Copyright 2024-25, GGBG Productions.